Hey Gators and sports fans, get all your Gator talk, news, analysis, and opinions on the Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning podcast. Find us on your favorite podcast platform or watch us on Facebook Live between 8 a.m. and 9 a.m. every weekday. Pod Up, because we are Gator fans. So say it's great to be a Florida Gator.
Welcome to a Thursday edition of Pod Up with Matthews in the Morning from the Crime Prevention Security System Studios. Large enough to serve you, small enough to care. It's Thursday. That means we got our college football analyst, Brent Beaird. Second portion of the show, we're going to be talking a little high school sports on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. First, let's go to the Titan MR hotline. We're joined by the Heisman Trophy voter, Brent Beaird. Good morning, Brent. How are you?
Shane, doing well. It's great to be on with you and Man Alive. That these next two Saturdays in the SEC, if you can call them separation Saturdays or whatever moniker we want to put on them, they are extremely important. And we've got good games from noon to midnight, don't we, Shane?
We really do. It is a wonderful weekend. Before we jump into a lot of the big games, Brent, I mean, obviously that's what we're all looking forward to. Any other games kind of flying under the radar that you're interested in?
Well, I think certainly the Notre Dame-Cincinnati game is a game that everyone is following. Will Cincinnati be able to beat Indiana and Notre Dame? And if they go undefeated the rest of the way, will they be considered for the playoffs? So that is the big question. Brian Kelly beat Newt Rockney's record in his latest win, which you got to think about that one for a minute. That's amazing, frankly. And Desmond Ridder for Cincinnati is worth watching. I'm curious, Shane, how much you've seen of him, if you're impressed with him. But I would say, as far as outside the league, that's a game everyone's looking at.
Yeah, and speaking of that game, are you a little surprised that Cincinnati's the favorite with it being in South Bend?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm kind of curious what Las Vegas knows as far as that is concerned, and kind of where they're actually coming from with it. So, but yes, I am. I was very surprised about that. Notre Dame needs a good game out of Jack Cohen. He's been injured a little bit. I don't know if that may have something to do with it or not. Obviously, they make those bets to get people to spend money. But at the same time, yes, I was quite surprised.
Brent, there's still 7 teams in FBS that have not won a game. Arizona, UConn, Florida State, the Sammies are struggling. UMass, Navy, Ohio, and UNLV. Any of them win this week?
Well, that's a great question, frankly. I mean, UConn's playing Vanderbilt. I guess if you're playing Vandy, Shane, there's always a chance, right?
Yeah.
That might happen. Now, Florida State's playing Syracuse. I mean, I've got to believe that eventually that they get off the snide and are able to win. And we've touched on this slightly, but I'm still a little surprised, Shane, that this Navy team is still struggling the way that they are. And even Ohio, Frank Solich retired from there, is usually good, and we'll probably see them on a Tuesday or Wednesday night that's coming up. So hopefully some of these teams will be able to get a W sooner or later.
Yeah, I don't understand Navy because 2 years ago they were very, very good, and they're usually solid. And Ohio, maybe Frank Solich said, I've recruited poorly the last few years, and he saw the writing on the wall. They weren't going to be very good and went ahead and retired. So very strange because Ohio is usually pretty solid. All right, let's jump to the SEC. Big game in Tuscaloosa, a game I think everybody's been looking forward to, the 3:30 CBS game. Ole Miss, Lane Kiffin come rolling into town. Should be a heck of a game, Brent.
It's going to be tremendous. Last year, Alabama had to score on 9 of 11 possessions in order to win the game, and I won't be at all surprised if we've got something similar to that this year. Jamison Williams, the Ohio State transfer, had 2 kickoff returns for touchdowns in the Southern Miss game. He's averaging 25 yards per catch, but anybody Alabama's got, Ole Miss can match as far as like running back Snoop Conner and Jerron Ely, and the Bama's got Brian Robinson, Chase McClellan, and Rodell Williams, who really played well against Southern Miss. But Matt Corral is really just absolutely incredible. 9 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, which is a big plus right now. But I can see this thing being in the 40s without any doubt. I mean, I can even see Ole Miss winning the game if Alabama has 3 consecutive 3-and-outs like they did against Florida. I mean, all these Ole Miss weapons on the offensive side of the ball can play, and they can play well. By the way, Ole Miss 2-28 in Tuscaloosa all time. The 2 winning quarterbacks for Ole Miss, Chad Kelly, and one was Mark Young, who played at Ed White High School here in Jacksonville. I don't know if you remember that name or not.
Yes,
Shane, or
he was playing quarterback at Ole Miss when I was a youngster. I remember Mark Young, number 14 for Ole Miss.
Absolutely, but look, the key for this game, Bama's going to have to stop the Ole Miss run. No, I didn't stutter. I meant run. They had 2 running backs last year, Ole Miss did, that ran for 120 yards at least in the Alabama game. So that's going to be crucial. Alabama's going to have to tackle well in space here. And again, how well Bryce Young, Shane, act in this kind of atmosphere in this big of a game. He's done fine so far, but the stakes get higher and higher in the 3:30 CBS game on Saturday.
Yeah, I'm anxious about this game. What I'm interested in is, one thing is, we all know Saban and his staff, they probably studied the heck out of Ole Miss's offense in the offseason.
Yeah.
What are they going to do differently to slow them down compared to what they did last year? The other thing is Ole Miss defense, we know it's better. How much better is it, though? They've really played no one. I think with DJ Jerkins, done a good job with them. Obviously, they had a bunch of transfers over there, so they are better. But will Ole Miss be able to slow down Alabama at all? So those are the 2 things I'm anxious to see in that game. It would not surprise me for Ole Miss to win, but you got to think Saban has something up his sleeve to try to cause problems for Matt Corral. I don't know what that is. You know, they have to do a different scheme of what they did last year, in my opinion. Turn your car or truck into a rolling billboard for your business or brand with an eye-catching vehicle wrap from Wrap Spot this September. Mention promo code Shane. Receive 13% off your vehicle wrap. Speaking with Brent Beaird, you can follow Brent on Twitter at Brent Beaird. All right, Brent, another big game in the SEC. It's the late game. It's the 9 p.m. Eastern game. Auburn is traveling to LSU. Auburn's coming off a miracle win over Georgia State. Some bad calls, apparently. TJ Finley, you think he gets the start against his old team?
Listen, there's still a lot of speculation about that. And again, we have to remember TJ Finley, being a transfer, was easily the 3rd or 4th string quarterback at LSU. Now, will Brian Harsin shake off the bad performance that Bo had last week at home against Georgia State and reinstate him as the starter? I'm curious your take on this, Shane. What makes me curious about this game too is, if he goes back to Bo, will that affect the chemistry of this game? And before we break it down further, I've got to throw this out here. Shane, this is an unbelievable stat. Now think about this a minute. Auburn has not won in Baton Rouge since 1999.
Really? That's surprising me. I did not know that. That's crazy. That is crazy. Who do you think wins this game?
I think LSU right now is probably playing better. Now, Brian Harsin did fire his wide receivers coach earlier in the week, which I thought was amazing to do it that fast, frankly. But I think at this point, Max Johnson's playing well. Now, for whatever reason, LSU still cannot run to save their life. That just amazes me. They're like 120 in the nation in rushing, which is frankly unbelievable. Their defense is playing fairly well. They have more sacks and pressures than anybody else at this point too. So I'm edging here toward LSU. And listen, Shane, the problem for Auburn is Auburn has LSU Saturday, Georgia next week, and Arkansas in 2 weeks. So what an October gauntlet for Auburn.
Yeah, it's about as hard as Arkansas's next couple of games as well.
It is.
Speaking of the wide receiver coach who was fired, was it somebody that was retained on the staff from last year, or is this somebody that Brian Harsin brought in? I can't remember.
He had been an analyst on the staff.
Okay.
After 4 seasons working under Harsin at Boise State, including as offensive coordinator last year. So, and look, I haven't heard that there was any wrongdoing here. I don't know if they just got on the wrong page or whatever. Now, admittedly, Auburn's wide receivers are struggling. They don't have a real deep threat at this point, and I think that is a problem for them. But Shane, real quick, I am curious, when you put a guy in, he's successful, and then you go back to the starter in the next game, is that a risk?
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what he does. Because apparently TJ, I didn't get to see him in the game. Apparently he played well, but if he goes back to Bo Nix, is this one of these deals where, we all know Bo's dad played quarterback at Auburn, blah, blah, blah. I got a feeling he's going to start TJ Finley. I don't know why. I've never been a big TJ Finley fan, and maybe it wasn't fair. He wasn't a good fit for what LSU was trying to do. So we'll see. But it's going to be an interesting game. I think it's a big game for both of those teams because they're both, I think, at 3-1 right now and have a lot of hard games ahead of themselves. Florida gets a big win. Emory plays well against Tennessee. We're going to Kentucky. Haven't played well there, but I mean, everybody knows Kentucky's only beat us once out of the last 36 years or something.
Right.
Ronald Reagan was the president last time we lost there.
That's right. Yeah, it was 1986 was the last time that Florida lost in Lexington, and obviously that was still around that time of Doring has a touchdown. So I'm sure Chris has reminded you that a few times, Shane. But and as you mentioned, Florida's won 33 out of 34 meetings. Now, look, with that said, you and I both know Kentucky has come close to winning this game, have they not, over the last few years, and some controversial games too. I like Florida in the game. I think they're more consistent. I think Emory Jones has matured, and also the running back room I think continues to improve there. Also, I think Florida's getting some guys back. Jair Elam certainly for one with that. Shane, I'm just wary of this Kentucky situation. I like Will Levis. Appreciate what he has done. But Shane, Kentucky right now is -9 in turnover margin, and they've had 3 turnovers in 3 of the 4 games that they have had. If that trend continues, that does not bode well for them, does it? I don't care who they play.
No, it's kind of un-Kentucky-like, if that makes any sense. Usually Mark Stoops, a defensive-minded guy, play field position, protect the football, and they've done a pretty good job of that the last few years. But, yeah, -9 is crazy, and they have not played well they should have probably blown Missouri out. They let Missouri hang around, and then they played poorly against Chattanooga. Didn't play well against Carolina. I think Florida, if we go in there and play our type of game, we can win this game handily. We just can't let them hang around and let them believe, because the crowd will be into it at 6 o'clock game. The other big one in the conference, it's strange this game is going to be at noon. Arkansas travels to Georgia. The Hogs are riding high. Sam Pittman's done a great job. But, man, can Arkansas keep this competitive, Brent?
Well, that's the big question. Game day is going to be there. I'm curious, Shane, could the moment be too big for Arkansas in this game? Now, give them credit with a tremendous win last week that they had over A&M. And as you mentioned a minute ago, Arkansas now has Georgia, Ole Miss, and Auburn over the next 3 weeks. That's quite a gauntlet within itself. Now, Georgia may be the most consistent team in the country. Georgia right now, pretty much in every statistical category on defense, they're either number one or in the top 10. They've got 14 sacks, tied for second in the league. This Brock Bowers kid at tight end has been quite a find for them, and how well that he's played. Darnell Washington, the tight end, Tyke Smith, defensive back, they're full go in practice. They expect them to be back. Again, this Arkansas team, well-balanced. KJ Jefferson playing well, got hurt, and that may be a little bit of the point spread in this game, but I think he will play. Traylon Smith at running back, Traylon Burks at wide receiver has been equally impressive with this. But Shane, look, I'm not being disparaging against Arkansas, and I'm not saying they're a flash in the pan, because I don't think they are. I think Sam Pittman has done something. He's changing the culture. He's changing the way they do things. They're incredibly physical. They're incredibly competitive. But at this point, I just don't see them going to Arkansas, even with Barry Odom and what he does with the three-man fronts and his own schemes, of beating Georgia. Do you?
I don't. I love Arkansas' story. I still watch them, Brent, and they've been impressive, but I don't think they're as good as – I don't think the teams they've played have been very good.
True.
There was a lot of love for Texas, and Texas has gotten a little bit better, we think. But A&M has to be the biggest disappointment in America, in my opinion.
Yeah,
and
right.
We're going to get to them right now. Aggies host Mississippi State. Their defense is very solid, but offensively, the quarterback is the issue. They're not getting the ball to their playmakers' hands. They got a really good tight end. They got the two great running backs. They got the slot receiver that can do it all. They just aren't getting enough touches, and I don't know what A&M's problem is.
Well, last week was incredibly disappointing for them. Jimbo Fisher under a lot of heat right now, and Shane hit it because now Isaiah Spiller played well, but they're not getting the ball to Anaya Smith enough. And Shane, the Weidmeyer kid, who is arguably I don't know if he's the best tight end in the league, but he's certainly probably the top three. Mm-hmm. I mean, he really didn't get targeted to the fourth quarter. I mean, what in the world is up with that?
Yeah, I don't understand.
And Calzada is not as effective as King at this point. Look, that doesn't mean they don't have a good defense, and that defense before long could be elite. But at the same time, now they'll probably beat Mississippi State because their defense is better, I think, and can maintain State's offense. But listen, Shane, we've got a situation here with Mississippi State. They play Bama next Saturday night, and man, oh man, could an A&M team that people thought would be in the playoffs be out of the playoffs before October's over?
Yeah, they're the way they're playing right now. They got a chance against Alabama, in my opinion, and I was totally wrong about them. But I liked Haynes King. This other kid has got
Yes.
issues. One of the other games, it's an interesting game because if they want to go bowling, one of these teams has. I mean, obviously one of them's going to win it, but Missouri hosts Tennessee. Missouri let one get away up at Boston College. Terrible loss. Give BC, Missouri, Tennessee.
Well, Missouri was able to take Boston College to overtime on the strength of Shane. It was about a 56-yard field goal in order to tie the game. I still like Connor Basilak, even though he made a poor throw in overtime. He just got too greedy, threw into double coverage, and unfortunately it was picked. Tyler Batty, I still think, is a good running back. But Missouri's defense is dead last in the SEC in total defense. I mean, they gave up 300 rushing yards. Get this, Shane, to Southeast Missouri State.
Wow.
So that's something, and I don't know if that can be fixed this year. Now, you saw Tennessee last week, and look, Hendon Hooker, and he's okay at this point. Joe Milton is okay. They both overthrow or can't hit wide open receivers, which is amazing, although I still think the offense is better. And they've still got some guys who are a little bit better defensively. But your point's a good one here. It's at Tennessee with that Missouri defense struggling. I just wonder if Tennessee, if one of these quarterbacks gets in a little bit of rhythm, can't do enough to be able to win this game.
Yeah, I think it'll be a shootout. I think both teams will be able to move the football. Two other games in the conference that nobody's going to be watching. South Carolina hosts Troy, and Vandy hosts UConn. I want to go back to the Vandy Georgia game last week, Brent. Have you've been covering sports a long time? You ever seen a college game with a running clock?
Listen, that was a situation where that was the men against the boys went to chain. I mean, listen, Vanderbilt lost that game before they stepped on the field in their mind, and Georgia just dominated. But I give Georgia a lot of credit. They played well and they were efficient. And look, there aren't a lot of wins for Vanderbilt. They need to take advantage of this one. And Vandy has Florida next week. Still got South Carolina, Mississippi State, Missouri, Kentucky, Ole Miss, and Tennessee. And Shane, frankly, I mean, I hope Clark Lee eventually gets it done there. But I'm not sure I see another win on that schedule. Do you?
No, and I was looking at the quarterback stats last week. I mean, you don't even see stats this bad in Pop Warner, Brent. Their quarterbacks, two quarterbacks played 2 for 9 for 8 yards and an interception. The other dude went 3 for 9 for 16 yards and an interception. I mean, that's bad ball. So before we let you go, Brent, let's move over to the ACC. You got 2 unbeaten teams in the conference. Mm-hmm. They're powerhouses.
Yeah. and Clemson plays one of them.
That's true.
Which frankly is a fairly interesting game. And again, I give Boston College credit. They just ran through the Missouri defense and were able to take advantage of them too. But again, Clemson playing with fire for too long and got burned in the NC State game. The Clemson offense, frankly, it's just terrible right now. I mean, that's amazing that we would say that. I don't know if people have heard this, but one of Clemson's better defensive players, Brian Breesy, even tore his ACL in that game. So frankly, it just gets worse for them. But someone's always got to lose, but someone's always got to win. And I look right now. I give Boston College and Wake credit that they're both undefeated, and even Georgia Tech showing a little bit of life with Jeff Sims at quarterback from Jacksonville right now. So, and by the way, Miami plays Virginia tonight, and being at 2-2, I know they beat Central Connecticut State, but this is a game Miami. I don't know if I want to say it's a desperation win, but Shane, it's close.
Well, I guess we lost Brent there.
No, I'm
anyway,
here. I'm here.
You're there. Okay. I don't know if it was me or you. Okay. Brent's back. So Wake Forest, as you said, Wake Forest and BC are the only undefeated teams in the conference. Syracuse travels to Tallahassee. You think the semis have a chance of winning this game?
Well, look, for their sake, they've got to be able to do something. I mean, they're 0-4 for the first time since 1974, which is just amazing. To sum up where they are, Mackenzie Milton is tied for the ACC lead with 4 interceptions, second to last in scoring. So it frankly is an awful situation. But look, Syracuse is 3-1. They beat Liberty, which frankly, with Malik Willis, who used to play at Auburn, and right now they've got a situation. Sean Tucker leads the ACC in rushing. So unfortunately for no fan, Shane, it may not get any better Saturday.
No, it won't. Before we let you go, Brent, so the 2 undefeated teams, as I said, were BC and Wake Forest. Brent, are they on opposite sides of the ACC? I can't tell you. I never know who's on what side. Is there a way those 2 teams can go undefeated and play each other for the title this year?
I think that's a possibility. But the thing I also want to bring up is you've got some other teams who are, I think at this point, aren't bad either. NC State right now is 3-1 after beating Clemson. So I mean they have certainly shown a pulse during this time too. So it could be, frankly, it could be someone that we kind of least expect in this point. Well, let me say this: that can happen because BC and Wake, I'm looking here, are both in that in the Atlantic Division. So, Shane, we may have an ACC championship game that, to be kind, they may not have a lot of fans at that game. Now, NC State's in that Atlantic Division. Who knows? I mean, Clemson could still come back and do a little bit of something, but in that Coastal, I mean, Miami, Pitt, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech. Right now, I'm guessing the officials at the ACC headquarters are not real excited about selling tickets for the game this year.
No, not at all. It's so damn confusing anyway. Brent, appreciate it. Good work as always. Your daughter's getting married this weekend, right?
She is getting married this weekend, and we're excited for her and her fiance Sam. She's a nurse. He works with one of the tech companies, and they live in Atlanta. He's a big sports fan. So believe me, Shane, that helps the family.
Yeah. So congratulations to them. But I got to ask, what time is the wedding, Brent?
Well, the wedding's at 4.
Oh, Lord, Brent, are you going to be walking her down the aisle with your phone watching Alabama Ole Miss?
I'm not. My twin is going to be there, Shane. So I'll be interested. What we talk about hand signals for quarterbacks. There may be some kind of hand signals for the ceremony that may help as the ceremony continues.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. Y'all have a great weekend. I'm sure it'll be a lot of fun, and we appreciate you taking the time to join the program.
Always love it, Shane. Take care, bud.
Yeah, that's Brent Beaird. Join us on the Titan MR Hotline. Going to take our first time out of the program. We come back. We're going to do a little Baker Sporting Goods High School roundup. with our good buddy Dan LaForest from the Varsity Sports Network, talking a little high school football. We'll be right back.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Wrap Spot, Okito America, Gators Dockside, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. At Center State Bank, they're now called South State Bank, but they still put business first. They understand that small businesses need a community business partner that they can rely on. South State still has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking forward, member FDIC. We're now going to head to the Titan MR hotline to the Orlando area. We're going to be joined by Dan LaForest. He runs Varsity Sports Network, does a tremendous job. Good morning, Dan. How are you?
Hey, Shane, how are you?
I'm doing well. First of all, before we jump into some games, we normally talk North Central Florida Panhandle, a lot of high school football. We're going to focus a little on the Central Florida, Space Coast area. Let everybody know what Varsity Sports Network's all about.
So Varsity Sports Network is a streaming network. We don't stream just games. We're actually a 24/7 broadcast company. And we are building out across the state of Florida. So if you go to varsitysportsnetwork.org, you're going to see a map of the state of Florida, and you're going to see 16 dots. And those 16 dots are actually channels dedicated to 16 regions across the state of Florida, covering 22 sports in high school here in the state. So it is a massive project that we're putting together so that we can bring high school sports, not only football, but also the rest of the 21 sports: girls softball, women's basketball, men's basketball, baseball, golf, bowling, all to the front and center of varsity sports here in the state of Florida.
That's awesome. That's good stuff. Well, let's jump into right now. We're hot and heavy. Week 6 of high school football here in the state of Florida. Talk about some of the big games that last week and recap them that happened in Central Florida.
Yeah, let's talk about the Varsity Sports Network Orlando game of the week, Edgewater and Apopka. That was a clash of titans, if you will. Edgewater, outstanding program. Everybody knows the strength of Apopka over decades. But Edgewater took advantage of some Apopka turnovers and won that game 16-7. And Edgewater's offense and defense is stellar. They've got a great running back, and that's highly recruited here in the state of Florida. He was held to about 67 yards. Apopka's defense is probably one of the best in the state, but offensively, they had some turnovers that really cost them. But it was a wonderful game. The other big game was Treasure Coast, who actually beat American Heritage earlier in the year. And it was the hottest thing people were talking about. But Cocoa beats Treasure Coast at home 56-55 in 2 overtimes. And I can tell you, Coach Ryan Schneider over at Cocoa, former UCF quarterback, has done an amazing job keeping that program rolling. Cocoa has traditionally been a very strong program over in the Space Coast area. Dr. Phillips at Lake Mary was another one. Lake Mary won 38-3. And the story here is Lake Mary is undefeated, 5-0 going after week 5. Nobody really saw Lake Mary coming at this point. Now they're on the radar. They are on the map. And they are on track right now to play Sanford Seminole here in about 3 weeks, which is a huge rivalry game here in the Central Florida area. Going in undefeated against the defending 8A state champions right now. We also have Sanford Seminole plays at Daytona Beach Mainland, or played at Daytona Beach Mainland, and won 27-13. All Galley at Vieira won 28-25. Shane.
Yeah. When, as you mentioned, I believe you said Seminole, they won the 8A state title last year, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Would you say right now, I mean, that's the top program from the major big schools in that Central Florida area right now?
I think they're the best program in the state of Florida still. You know, we have a lot of people talking about South Florida and what they have as far as 8A, but right now, until they beat Sanford Seminole is on course to go right back to the state championship. They've got it on offense and defense. But I will say this, that they are going to be tested this week with Chaminade Madonna coming up from South Florida, which arguably may be the best team in the state, even though they are a lower classification.
Yeah. So this week, what are the big games that you guys are going to broadcast, and are the big games that people in that area are looking forward to?
Yeah, number one is Dr. Phillips at West Orange. That is the Varsity Sports Network Orlando game of the week. Dr. Phillips has struggled a little bit this season. They're sitting in at 2-3, but West Orange is at 3-1. Their only loss is to Apopka, and that was a great game at Apopka that they lost that game. That was a defensive game. Number two, Daytona Beach Mainland, 1-3. Even though Coach Travis Rowland is now back home and taking over that program, they're a very good program. They've lost some close games, but they're at 2-3 Daytona Beach Seabreeze. That's a rivalry game. Daytona Beach, the Daytona Beach community has to be excited about that. That's our VSN Daytona game of the week. Also, New Smyrna Beach, 3-1 at Lake Mineola. And Lake Mineola lost in the 7A state championship game last year. So Lake Mineola is still trying to get, back into their groove, getting here through the first half of the season. And then lastly, Chaminade Madonna, 3-1 at Sanford Seminole. That's going to be on the NFHS network, but that is probably the biggest game in the state for week 6.
As you said, Chaminade's 3-1. Who did they lose to? Do you know?
That is a good question. Let me double check.
I didn't know. I didn't mean to put you on the spot there. I just, I know they're supposed to be really, really good, and I just would be surprised at who beat them. But
yeah.
So the top teams in y'all's area down there in the Central Florida Space Coast area, obviously, you would say is Sanford Seminole, the defending 8H state champs, and then how would you rank them after them?
Well, it's kind of tough, but right now we're looking at Sanford Seminole's 5-0, just based on, the crazy schedule this year. Number 2 is Edgewater. I think Edgewater's finally finding their groove at 4-1. Number 3 is Apopka, and really, that could be argued a little bit, but at the end of the day, their defense still is going to carry that team. The question is, can you outscore them? Their offense is still kind of trying to find their groove, but you can win 3-0 against Apopka. And then Orlando Jones, even though 3-2, Orlando Jones, Coach Elijah Williams, former Florida Gator, has done a wonderful job with that team. Lake Mary is also in that top 5 somewhere. Lake Mary right now, and Scott Perry, another Florida Gator football player. Scott Perry has done a wonderful job with those guys. And like I said, that is sitting right now. They're probably about number 4, Jones number 5, and then Cocoa. You cannot ever discount them. And they've got some big games actually coming to Orlando, playing Lake Mineola and Orlando Jones later in the season.
Dan, I wanted to ask you, as you mentioned, Eli Williams is the head coach here at Jones. Apopka, I know they've had a long tradition of really good football there. I want to say Darlington, who won all those titles, he's no longer the coach. They're not still running the wing T there, are they?
Believe it or not, they are. But what they've done is they've taken and they've expanded it. You know, the nice thing about that single wing offense is that really what makes that is the core of the offensive scheme, the blocking scheme. You can have it tight, you can spread it out. But what they've done is they've actually allowed it to spread out so that they can get the linebackers out of the box and they can allow their quarterback and their running backs. So it's not, you know, they can run, they're in place to run that single wing, but they can also expand it and make it look a little bit more like a spread offense.
Yeah, we're speaking with Dan LaForest here on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup, talking a little Central Florida Space Coast high school football. All right, Dan, I've had people on, you know, from the prepzone.com and all this stuff, and we've talked about, you know, the playoffs. We're getting close. As we said, this is week 6. You have the RPI rankings that have come out. Explain real quick, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, 2 teams from each district, you had district play. The winner won it, and then the runner-up made the playoffs. Now it's not the case. Explain it to all our listeners how you make the playoffs these days.
You know, and I'll do my best, but sometimes we still trying to figure out what the heck's going on. But the RPI index is a lot how the bowl systems did it a few years ago, where you're looking at not only your schedule, but you're looking at the schedule of the people you beat and also the schedule of the people that you've lost to. So it's really a computer ranking that kind of gives strength of schedule, plays into the factor of not only what you did, but the teams that you played. And I think that's why we're seeing a lot more teams that are not dodging a lot of the great competition. You know, this year was a very challenging year for the Florida High School Athletic Association members, because the Florida High School Athletic Association decided to go ahead and redistrict and reclassification, even if it's for 1 year. So they're going to do it again after this season. And it really put a lot of football coaches in a bind, because a lot of these guys get their schedule set right after Christmas. Everything's kind of set up. All of a sudden now they had redistricting. So they were scrambling in April and May to get schedules. And a lot of schools had a hard time filling holes. So you're seeing a lot. In my opinion, this is probably the best scheduling season I've seen in high school football in years.
Yeah. So give us a rundown of some of the top ranked teams and all the different classifications.
Yeah. You know, we've got, you know, starting across the board, you know, Venice is number 1 across the board in 8A. The Venice Indians have done an outstanding job. They are by far probably one of the toughest teams in the state of Florida across the board. Number 2 is Cardinal Gibbons, a 4A school. Again, we talked about them a little while ago. Number 3 is Dunbar out of Fort Myers Beach, Florida. They're currently 3-0, and everybody in the top 10 is currently undefeated. Number 4 is Lake Mary under the RPI index. They're 4-0. Scott Perry and those guys, you know, like I said, they're sitting strong. Number 5 is 8A as well, is Palm Beach Central out of Wellington. They're 4-0, sitting at number 5. Number 6, Baker Gators, the defending 1A state champions, are back in the top slot. They're in the 1A category. Avante Garden Academy out of Hollywood, Florida. They're a 2A school. They're sitting in at number 7. And then you've got Rockledge, currently at 5-0 over on the Space Coast, sitting in at number 8. Number 9, Jesuit out of Tampa. We talked about them a little bit. They are 5-0 and looking strong. And then number 10 is Doral at 5-0. And that is the RPI top 10 for all classifications.
For all classifications. And then let's say in 6A, I got to believe Vanguard from the Ocala area has to be in the top 10 in 6A football, right?
In 6A, the Vanguard's actually sitting number 7 right now at 4-0. And you know, those guys have done a wonderful job. I got the opportunity to watch Vanguard a couple times this year with them doing the 7v7. Will Detter and the FHS 7v7 program. Got to see them in the championship game against Sanford Seminole. And also those two teams actually played each other up in Tallahassee at the Florida State camp at 7-on-7 championship as well. So both of those programs have an outstanding athletic core.
At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. A few more minutes here with our good friend Dan LaForest from the Varsity Sports Network on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. Talking a little high school football. 1A football, I know down in your area, I don't think there are any 1A schools. They're all like from the Gainesville area to the Panhandle. But we do have a couple like Union County, Chiefland. I know Hawthorne, who's coached by former Gator Cornelius Ingram. Where are those guys all ranked in the newly released polls?
Yeah, Baker County, again, defending state champs for 1A, are sitting in at number 1. Then you got Bluntstown sitting number 2. Hawthorne's currently number 3. And again, most of these guys are undefeated through the top 8. Union County sitting at number 4. Hilliard, number 5. Chiefland, number 6. Wildwood is undefeated at number 7. Port St. Joe is sitting from Region 2 is sitting in at number 8. Chipley is 4-1, sitting in number 9, and number 10 is Freeport out of Region 1 at 3-2 in the top 10.
I'm going to ask you a question. You may know it, you may not. Where are they having the state? I know last year, did they move the state championship games last minute to Doak Campbell? Are they having them there this year, or where are they going to be played?
That's a good question. We do not know the answer to that. And it's one of the toughest things that we've talked on my show, the Florida Gridiron Report, is, it'd be nice to have a road too. Whether it's a road to Jacksonville, a road to Orlando, a road to Miami. It has been rumored that they're going to put it in Miami, but my sources down there have not been able to confirm that. The FSHAA has not exactly been forthcoming with that. Maybe they don't know where they're going to have it. I've had my opinions on where it should be every year. And there's some strategic relationships that I think could make it really fun for the kids. But we don't know, Shane, right at this point.
Yeah, it seems like they should just make it in Orlando, since that's kind of centrally located for everybody. I know it's a long ways for guys in the Panhandle, but you can't make everybody happy. I agree with you. Kids need to know, hey, this is where we're trying to get to, and they don't have a clue right now. Dan, before we let you go, let everybody know how they can listen to your show. Also, do they subscribe to the Varsity Sports Network? How's that all work?
Varsity Sports Network, first of all, has no subscription cost. We are driven by sponsorships. When you watch Varsity Sports Network, it's like watching ESPN or any other channel. We're 24/7, live games, replays of games, and then shows that are dedicated to sports. Shane, I had a wonderful time having you and a guest on my show, the Florida Gridiron Report, which is every Wednesday night at 7. Are all new episodes, replays every night at 7 that we don't have a live game going. Again, had an awesome time with you and Chris Doring, and we have coaches from around the state, and we talk high school football every week during the year, because now football, the training, the recruiting, everything is going on so quickly that we need to have more conversations about it.
Yeah, no question about it. Well, Dan, good stuff as always. We appreciate you taking the time to join our program. Like I said, we normally talk from the Ocala area through North Central Florida and the Panhandle, but it's great to bring up some of these great football high school programs down in the Orlando area and the Space Coast. And we'll definitely talk to you in a couple of weeks, my man.
Hey, Shane, I appreciate it and look forward to coming back on.
That's Dan LaForest from the Varsity Sports Network. Join us here on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. We're going to take our final time out of today's program. Come back. We'll wrap up this Thursday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, Cornerstone Financial, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avera and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Are you tired of being sidelined by nagging pain? Hi, I'm Emmett Smith, Hall of Famer and Dance with the Stars champion. Happy to tell you about QC Kinetics and their biologic therapies for treating pain without drugs or surgery.
Are you suffering from chronic pain in your hips, knees, shoulder, or lower back? Are you tired of living with arthritis pain? QC Kinetics offers natural pain treatment that can repair and restore damaged tissue in your joints.
Listen, I know pain, and I've seen firsthand how powerful biologic therapies can be. Patients at QC Kinetics rave about their result because they're getting their lives back. They're getting moving again.
These exciting regenerative treatments used to be available only to pro athletes like Emmett. Now they're available to anyone thanks to QC Kinetics. Call today for your free consultation.
Get long-lasting results from my friends at QC Kinetics.
Call QC Kinetics 352-400-4550. In North Central Florida, call 352-400-4550. QC Kinetics 352-400-4550.
Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar, located on top of Spurrier's Gridiron Grill in Celebration Point, is now open Thursday through Saturday. Visor's covered open-air bar is the perfect place to gather after work or meet up with friends. You'll love the handcrafted cocktails and elevated shareables available every Thursday through Saturday. Visor's Tailgate and Rooftop Bar is perfect for fans of great food, great drinks, and great weather. Visor's not required. High spirits are highly encouraged. Visit spurriers.com/visors.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios at Celebration Point. That's where the Gators go to celebrate. For premium brands like Nike, Bass Pro Shops, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron French Pastries, Dave & Buster's, Palmetto Moon, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Make your reservations today at spurriers.com. And also, Visors is now open Thursday through Saturday night. Go check out Visors. We will see you Celebration Point, where the Gators go to celebrate. I want to thank our Heisman Trophy voter and college football analyst Brent Beaird and Dan LaForest from Varsity Sports Network join us on the Baker Sporting Goods High School Roundup. We appreciate their time on the Titan MR hotline. This day in sports brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team members with all levels of experience, opportunity for growth. They can give you 1,000 positions. Give Comfort Temp a call. It's 354. Postseason baseball is getting ready to crank up. But back in 1997, New York Yankees, Tim Raines, Derek Jeter, and Paul O'Neill are the first trio to hit 3 consecutive homers in postseason play as the Yankees beat the Indians 8-6. So I think this is the last week of Major League Baseball, and postseason play will begin. But that's brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Hope you enjoyed today's show, folks. Tomorrow we'll be joined by JC and John Clay, talking a little Kentucky. He covers the Kentucky Wildcats. Get his thoughts on the Gators rolling into Lexington, what the atmosphere is like in Lexington, and his thoughts on the game. Also, JC and I will be doing our Peachland Dentistry weekend college football picks. Tonight, you got a little college football and pro football. I know a lot of people love the Jags. They're looking for their first win against the Bengals. So you got 2 first-round quarterbacks going, Joe Burrow and Trevor Lawrence going head-to-head. And then in college football, I think the game is Miami and Virginia. Both teams need a win very badly. But today's show's a wrap, brought to you by Wrap Spot. Be safe, folks. We'll see you tomorrow.
1st and 10. Matthews, near side, wide open, Alonzo Sullivan. He may go. Touchdown, Gators.